Today we're going to talk about how to run faster. This can be relevant to triathletes, duathletes, or if you just run on its own as a sport or activity. Primarily, we're going to talk about 3 different types of sessions. That's going to involve tempo runs, threshold runs, and VO2 max runs. It's going to involve what they look like, what they consist of, the work to rest ratios, heart rates, what kind of zones of those heart rates, and what to expect after a certain time frame after doing these types of sessions. Now, you might have stumbled across this video because you may be struggling to actually run faster. I promise you, these speed sessions will make you run faster. I don't care if your game is 5k runs, 10k runs, duathlon, triathlon, they will make you faster if you stick to it. However, a word of warning here, make sure you don't go straight into these sessions blindly. Make sure you've got a baseline of fitness before you get on with these sessions. Baseline of fitness, those zone 2 sessions, you need to get them done because training steadily before these sessions is going to help prevent injuries. It's going to make those tendons a little bit more robust. It's going to help you recover between the repetitions of these certain sessions so you can actually keep going. And generally the results will be a lot better if you get that baseline of fitness first before you attempt these sessions. So let's get stuck in. And before we get stuck in, I'll be honest, I don't hold any world records in duathlon times, triathlon times, or marathon times. But that's not to say what I'm about to say is absolutely rubbish. These sessions do work. The sports science communities have proven that these work, and there's also world-class athletes that use these sessions as well as all the way down to the beginners. These sessions do work, so take note. So the first session out of the 3 is the tempo runs. Now these tempo runs help to build speed endurance, meaning you reach a speed and you can actually hold on to that speed, okay, rather than dying a very fast death within any given race. In regards to where that is on your heart rate zone, it's high end of your zone 3, but low end of your zone 4, also described as comfortably hard. In terms of session duration or how long to spend in this zone, as a beginner I'd recommend you start around that 10-minute mark, and through the weeks you build up towards the 30-minute mark. Now you read the sports science journals, it will say it can range between 10 and 60 minutes. I'm here today to tell you, if you're new to this, focus on that 10 to 30 minutes as a starting point. And yes, make sure you go off heart rate rather than minutes per mile or kilometers per mile in regards to your speeds, because if you live in an area where it's super hilly or there is a few hills are going to slow you down, okay? And if you're going too fast on those hills, you're going to go out of that heart rate zone and probably deep into a zone 4. Let the heart rate dictate your speed and just drop the ego a little bit and focus on the heart rate and not your speed with these sessions. So here are some examples of some sessions of tempo runs. So after a steady warm-up, naturally, you can have a look at performing 2 lots of 10 minutes within that given heart rate that I've just mentioned previously, with a 2-minute recovery between the 2. So warm-up, 10-minute effort, 2-minute steady jogging to cool off, and then go again for another 10 minutes. And you can naturally progress this from week to week. That 10 minutes might turn into 12 minutes, and that might build into 2 lots of 10 to 3 lots of 10. So you get the gist of this. And if you don't have the heart rate data available to you to kick things off, you might want to aim for around a 6, maybe even 6.5 out of 10. I know I'm being a bit fickle with my number there. And also if you've got a half marathon time or a half marathon speed, it's just a little bit less. Just a little bit less in terms of your half marathon speed. So it's certainly not flat out, but at the same time, it's not easy. The next type of speed session is what we call a threshold session. So we've briefly spoken about tempo. Now with your threshold session, the intensity is gradually just going a little bit higher now. In terms of the heart rate zone, you're a little bit deeper into that zone 4 now, so it's a little bit more uncomfortable. And naturally, because it's a little bit more uncomfortable, the time spent in this zone is going to be less compared to your tempo session as previously discussed. And these lactate threshold sessions help us buffer lactic acid out of our muscles furthermore. More so those hydrogen ions that get built up within the muscle, and it causes that high acidity, and it helps flush that out because we want to get it flushed out so muscles can actually fire and contract appropriately encouraging that good high speed that you're holding on to. So running speed, we're just going a little bit faster now than your tempo running speed. So on that rating of perceived exertion out of 10, we're dipping into 7, maybe even 8 out of 10. So this is a little bit harder than your tempo run speeds now. So what can these sessions look like? I would start off with 1k efforts and see how you respond. You might, for that first session, just have a go at 2 reps of 1k efforts. You might just stick with that for the first couple of weeks. The next week, add another rep. So 3 by 1Ks, so on and so forth. What you don't want to do is start off where some very fast marathon runners can do 10 efforts of 1K and respond very well to it. They can tolerate that kind of stress. You might not be there. In fact, if you're a beginner to this, you're not there. So start off with some low repage work. And for that first 1K effort, ease into it. Find out what your speed is for that zone 4 effort. And then once you have a look down, because you want to periodically look down at your watch and see that you're still in that zone. It's not shooting up to zone 5 and you're not dipping down to zone 3. Whatever that speed is for that zone 4, that's your speed. Hold on to it. And then you want to take around a 90 to 120 seconds recovery there. It might be a fast-paced walk or it might be a very, very slow jog in between those reps. And what you can also do, depending on the nature of the races that you're trying to do well in, you can start off with the K efforts. You can build the distance into 1 mile efforts, so around 1.5, 1.6k, and then you can build into your 2k efforts. Again, start with the 1ks first. Moving up that intensity factor now, we've gone tempo, threshold sessions, and now we're going to have a look at VO2 max sessions. It's around an 8, maybe 8.5 out of 10 effort. And here are some example sessions that you can do to get that real top end speed that you desperately need. In relation to what heart rate zone you're in here for your VO2 max sessions, you're in between that zone 4 and that zone 5. So you're just kind of dipping in to zone 5. So yeah, it's pretty uncomfortable. And the sessions might look like 5 efforts of 3 minutes in that intensity with the 2-minute recovery. Or you can have a look at 4 reps of those 4 minutes efforts with the similar 2-minute recovery. And by the time you've reached the courage and enthusiasm to partake in VO2 max sessions, ideally you've done the base training. You've done a handful of tempo run sessions, you've done a good amount of threshold sessions, and now the body's ready for this real top end speed. So again, don't jump straight into the deep end with this. You will get injured after a certain time frame. It might not be session 1, 2, 3 or 4, but certainly after that, the tissue tolerance of your soft tissues, your tendons specifically, will typically break down. So you need to get robust with this. So those are 3 basic examples of speed sessions. Your tempo, your threshold, and your VO2 max. However, let's not forget about the obvious low-hanging fruit here, where we can also improve our running speeds. Lose some body fat. For me, it's not a taboo subject. It's science, it's common sense. Remember, muscle carries you carry fat. So figure out what your body percentage is in terms of fat and gradually start making amendments within the kitchen and work on your diet with that. In addition, we can work on some gym-based work. So whether it's getting stronger, working out any deficiencies so you're not going to break down quick, and also work on some running specific plyometrics. Now, there's easy plyometrics and there's rock solid plyometrics. You want to start with the very easy ones with this, so be cautious. Now, if you don't have a clue about training zones, strength and conditioning, the plyometrics, the strength training, heart rate zones, where to start and how to program your training, in the comments below, I have a 30-day free Kickstart course. There's people out there charging for information like this. Make sure you click on the comments below and get ahead of the game and start making some improvements in your run speed. Thanks for listening.